YouTube. So, hello, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I know that we're experiencing very uncertain, challenging, and stressful times. Now, it is very easy to fall into the fear entrapment, and I will explain to you why. And it is my belief that two things: the virus is spreading slower than the fear. So basically, the fear is running rampant and spreading like wildfire. Hey, Samantha. Hi, welcome. So the fear is literally like wildfire, and it's spreading in an unhealthy way. And what happens with fear, we're going to explore literally the physiology and the anatomy of fear, how it affects our body. I'm going to go deep into that. And then I'm going to explain to you why it's getting triggered and what happens in our brains. And then I'm going to share with you tools that are quick and effective that you can use in the snap of a finger to calm yourself down, to turn your sympathetic nervous system off, okay? Because we have two branches of our nervous system. And I'm going to tell you how they've been working, what's been happening that's led up to this thing, and how you can manage your mind, how you can master your mind. Because ultimately, we all live in our minds, and everything that's happening, that's getting reflected back to us in society, is a reflection of our mental state. And I know for some of you who are just coming into these awarenesses, it might be a challenge to accept it. But as you experiment these things and you put them in practice, you'll start to notice how you can actually begin to master your mind, which will then master your body, which will then create a reflection outside that is different than what is showing up right now. Okay, so let me see. I have so much information, and I don't want it to be like just information. I want it to be an experiential episode today, so you can literally understand the basics and then start putting in practice what I'm going to share with you today. Now, if it works for you, take it. If it doesn't work for you, just let it go. But I do recommend that you practice it and experiment with it before dismissing it, because it is through these tools and many others that I have been able to maintain myself at a level where I can still access my brain, the intelligence part of my brain, the informational part of my brain, because we have different areas of our brain. And I'm going to start with that. Okay. So basically, we're going to explore the effects of fear on the brain, or how it gets created in the mind, the body, what happens in our bodies, and what happens in society, right? And then we are going to understand why these fears get triggered, and then we're going to go into the tools, and then a sound bath, so we can all literally calm down together, bring our vibration high, so that we are not touched by this fear that is literally opening the way for the virus to come through to all of us. Because when the fear hits us, it literally reduces our immune system. It numbs it, it puts it out of commission. And I'll explain to you why that is. And we are then exposed to lower frequencies, lower vibration, and these viruses can literally come in and just wreak havoc. All right, so let's get started with the mind body monitoring system. We have a thing that's called or I don't know if I called it that or if it's called that. I've have so much information in my mind that if I'm taking information from someone, just know that it's a melange of like 20 years of study. So there is a system in our bodies. Our mind monitors our body monitors our mind. And now Einstein said that we could not fix a problem from the same level from which it was created. When I started studying these techniques, it finally dawned on me one day. It's like, oh my gosh, I understand what he's saying. So when we have a mental problem, when we have panic, fear, anxiety, depression, anything that has to do with the mind, it is extremely difficult to correct those imbalances from our mind. However, when we learn to use our bodies for it, we can create calm because the mind will follow suit to what we're doing in our bodies. And likewise, when we have an illness in the rest of our body, our minds, our thoughts are so powerful that we can literally reverse any kind of illness. And I am proof of that. And I have proof from people that have been doing these techniques that it actually does work. And now I'm not a doctor. I'm not claiming to cure anything. We cure ourselves. We have our own healing mechanism in our bodies, and we just learn how to activate that healing mechanism and take charge of our bodies, take charge of our minds. So what happens to our brain? We come across a situation that triggers thoughts of fear, right? We come across if we're out in the wilderness in ancient times, right? We would come across a tiger and the brain will immediately sound the alarm. What happens? Alarm gets set off. Cortisol, adrenaline, and the stress hormones, right, get released into our bloodstream from our glands, right? That they get the alarm, fear is happening. So there's a special amount of cortisol, a special percentage of adrenaline that gets triggered by fear. It gets released into our bloodstream, right? Our primitive brain, which is the base of our skull, we call it the primitive brain, it's an area of our brain, gets activated into survival mode. It's what we call normally the fight or flight response. I call it the fight, flight, or freeze response. And we go into survival mode. What then happens is as if an iron door gets shut down between the primal brain and the rest of your brain, your prefrontal cortex. The front part of our brain is what holds all of the information, all of the inputs, everything that has been recorded in your cells, in your body from before you even were born, right? All of your files, your intelligence, your memories, everything is like your library, right? The main library is in this area. So our primal brain gets activated and this thing just shuts down. Why? In an effort to protect yourself. What is going to happen now is that we now have one mission and one mission only, and that is to stay alive, right? The body then gets tensed, right? Because it might have to fight something, it might have to run away from danger, or sometimes the fear is so intense that we cannot move and we get paralyzed. But all of the other systems in the body literally get shut down because we're focusing on this one objective, which is staying alive. Now, when the danger is gone, there's a huge release. There's usually exhaustion. And then, depending on how long you were in this fear situation, the systems quickly or not so quickly rev back up and take you back to normal or homeostasis. Now, here's the issue. In the ancient times, the fear was very clear. Tiger, a dinosaur, a wild animal, right? We were out in the wild. We had to protect our families, whatever. We were exposed to the elements. Now, in our society, we are not exposed to tigers roaming around. We are exposed to some sharks. And we're exposed to situations at work, situations in the society that trigger this response. However, we keep getting stress after stress after stress. And this kind of stress could be a full-on stress, a lot of, it's a momentary, short-term release of these hormones, or a low grade, which is long-term, low-grade stress, which is long-term, your body starts releasing these hormones on a regular basis and slowly but surely keeps depleting all of your resources. Why? Because our nervous system has two branches, sympathetic and parasympathetic. And the sympathetic system is in charge of all the stress, fight or flight, and the parasympathetic is in charge of the feel-good hormones, relaxed, feeling bliss, feeling at peace, feeling happy. And they are not synchronous. They are alternative. So basically, if you have your sympathetic nervous system working, your parasympathetic nervous system is shut down. So what happens? You can't be like sort of on and sort of off. It's either on or off. So we're limping through life with this sympathetic nervous system on. Even if it's a little bit, it's still on at all times. And that starts creating a sense of familiarity, of normalcy. We start to believe that being stressed, having anguish, having a knot in our throats, a knot in our chest, a knot in our tummies is the normal way to operate, which is not. But our mind, because we are in survival, is justifying these feelings as if they were the normal way to feel at all times. So you start feeling this way constantly, and then you feel like that's the way to live, because otherwise we would get loopy, right? We'd go crazy thinking that, okay, we have these things going on and it shouldn't be, so there would be a lot of resistance. And because we're trying to survive, we're just learning to live with this stress, which could be low grade, higher, medium, or high grade, full on, at all times. And slowly it depletes our minerals, our vitamins, our bone mass, our muscle mass, our brain function, our cognitive function. It starts getting depleted. When they say, oh, you had a senior moment, it's not a senior moment. It's that we usually under so much stress that we cannot literally connect to our prefrontal cortex. Remember that library we spoke about, to connect to our things, and we get blanked out because we simply stop making those neural connections the way they used to be. And so what happens is that we begin to feel that this is normal, to the point that when we start feeling peaceful and our parasympathetic nervous system gets activated for a while, we literally find our reticular activating system, which is a network of neurons that covers the brain, starts looking for situations outside of us that will actually trigger this mechanism so that we can release these hormones into our bloodstream, because we now have become addicted to these hormones. I call us, because I'm part of it, adrenaline junkies. All right. So our mind starts looking for an argument, fight with your boss, somebody that'll cut you off in traffic, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever is at hand in the moment, it attracts it to you so that you can start releasing these hormones and feeling normal again. See how messed up that is? Then you're like, okay, now I'm stressed again. Okay, I'm good now. And it's literally, you're getting a shot of adrenaline that will put you back in that fight or flight mode. Okay. I remember when I first learned of it, I started being I learned how to shut off, which I'm going to teach you and show you and share with you in a moment, how to shut off your sympathetic nervous system so that your parasympathetic nervous system gets activated. So what would happen to me is, when I first learned of this, I had a lot of drama in my life, a lot in my marriage. It was like arguments, it was not fun. And I found out about this and I started applying these principles and using these tools. And then the time between the releasing of the hormones got farther and farther apart, to the point that I started to recognize, when I had some drama show up in my life, oh man, it has been a while since I felt these hormones in my body. And I think my body was like, oh, it's been too long. I need to get a little bit of it just to keep myself balanced or whatever. And I was able to recognize, oh my gosh, okay, I attracted this because I needed to release some adrenaline. You will start to notice that. Okay. Now, so we're adrenaline junkies, right? Okay. So what is going on right now? Well, our brain is releasing all these hormones. We're used to it because we're living in a constant, if you're living in a metropolis, right? You have traffic to deal with, jobs probably to deal with. We all have like work, clients, interactions with our loved ones, with our family, with our friends, with our children, whatever it is. Even with our dogs, we find ways of having an argument with our dog because we need to have this adrenaline running. And so what happens right now is so many things are triggering us, right? For example, lack of trust in government and its officials, that we don't know how they're handling it, if they're handling the situation well, if they're not handling it well. We all have an opinion about how everybody's handling everything, how each country's handling it, how every person is handling it. Some people say there's nothing going on. Some people say that it's the end of the world. Some people say that we're all gonna die. Some people say that it's a hoax, right? We're getting all these contradictory information. And depends on what we're tuning to, that's what we're hearing, right? If you're glued to the news all day, and if you're glued to Fox, you're going to feel one way. And if you're glued to, let's say, NBC, you're going to feel another way if you're in the United States, right? Or if you're doing CNN or what's the British? The BBC. Right? You're going to feel a different way. Or if you're in Italy or if you're in Spain, whatever you're listening to is going to color your thoughts, your ideas, your concepts of what is going on. Now, the only people who know really, 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 really what's going on, I believe that there are very few of them. And we are all experiencing this situation from our own individual particular point of view. Okay? Now, there's a difference between hearsay and facts. And so I'll hear from someone that is a dear friend of mine that is in a really big government position. I'll hear that someone close to her has indeed this thing. And hi, sweetie. Yes, there's some social responsibility. Virginia over there on Facebook is saying that she wishes the media would stop spreading the fear and the panic. Yeah, so it depends on what you're focusing on, right? What impression you'll be getting about the things that are happening. If you're glued to social media, you will have some people that have decided to share information on how you can cure yourself from this virus, which is like drinking. I heard somebody said that people were suggesting that people would drink bleach. I mean, sheer stupidity, right? There was a basketball player mocking the virus, and apparently he went ahead and touched all of the microphones of the people in the press conference, and then a few days later he actually came down with the virus himself. So there's hearsay, there's opinions, there's actual facts, but we don't really know which are the true facts because the information has been so skewed. And the thing is that I believe that, for example, the news outfits are no longer what they used to be, which was like they would just report on the facts. It's become that they're all tinged with opinions. So everybody has an opinion, right? I have my own opinion. They have their own opinion, but then it starts coloring everything. So how do you know what is true and what isn't? Like I went to the grocery store a day before the crisis happened. I was led to just go and buy some stuff. I didn't buy out of control. I did get toilet paper because I was running out of toilet paper. It was my time to go buy toilet paper. I couldn't even buy the brand of toilet paper that I wanted because it was like all the racks gone, everything gone, right? I chose not to buy rice. And then this morning, I was like, man, should I have bought rice? And I'm like, okay, I even find myself beginning to fall in the web, right? Of what is true, what is not, how long is this going to last, how long, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what is really true. We don't know how many people are really sick. We really, really, really do not know. But what I do know that is happening is that it's creating more divisiveness, more isolation, and there's more control of the government over us, right? It's so easy to control a panicking society when they come and say, oh, I have the elixir of truth, come follow me. And then people are like, oh, hey, he has the truth, right? And then it's easy to control the masses that way. Now, there is also the situation of your personal reality versus the global reality and even your community reality, right? What could be your personal reality? Your personal reality could be you could be faced right now with the fact that you've been sent home, that people don't have an obligation to pay you, right? Like I'm a freelancer. If I don't work, I don't earn. So I had a booking for a commercial, a couple commercials this week, and I got notice that they were both postponed. that means, well, maybe I won't work next week, right? Most certainly I won't work. But how long will I not work? How long am I going to be out of work? I don't know. Could it be 2 weeks? Could it be a month? Could it be 3 months? I mean, what is going to happen, right? And then I think, okay, so maybe the people, I'm trying to figure out the toilet paper thing, which I still, to this moment, I cannot figure out why toilet paper. Why not the water, which, by the way, the water in my supermarket, yesterday I went to get water as normal, thinking I'm going to find water, gone. No water, but like things that are gone were just like the weirdest things. And toilet paper is out there with one of the weirdest things for my life. I don't understand the toilet paper situation. But then I think, okay, so maybe the toilet paper hoarders were kind of right, because what if the people who actually produce the toilet paper get sent home, and then there's no production, and then there's no production of food, and then everything comes to a standstill? Like, where is the limit? How much are we going to go to find out what is really out there happening? Or how long are we going to be faced with this situation to find out, well, maybe it is like the effects of a third world war, right? Some people are saying this virus was thrown out there on purpose. Was it? Who knows? But here's the thing. It's about coming within and finding what's true for us in every moment. Like, there's also the issue of availability, right? Let me see. All of her 7 jobs have ended. Right. And right, Virginia has 7 jobs. This woman is single mom. She's she's a warrior. Okay. She has 7 jobs to keep herself afloat, and all of them have ended, and no idea of when and if they're gonna come back, right? So there's so much uncertainty. There's also the issue of availability, right? Because we get told, oh, like the government officials, there's tests for everyone, and then there's no tests for anybody. Then nobody's been tested. Then everybody's been tested. Then so much conflicting information, and you don't know what to believe. So then it's like, man, if I get sick, well, will there even, maybe I should get sick first so I could get to the hospital and actually get a respirator. But then it's like, you can get reincidences of it. So it's like your mind can play tricks on you, and you can start going down the rabbit hole to hell. Okay. Now, money. How many of us have 3 months saved of salary? I don't know many people in my life that have, right? Now, not having it in the moment is a cause of stress. Not knowing if you're going to have the ability to earn it and bring it home in the next is another source of stress. The loss of importance of money when the supplies are simply not available. Yesterday, I was like, well, what good will money do when we go to the supermarket and there's nothing to buy? You may have the money, but there's nothing to buy because everything is gone, right? Isn't that a source of mega stress? So here's the thing. Having money doesn't make you a good or a bad person. Money is an energy, right? And what happens is that money literally highlights and brings out more of who you already are. So if you're an amazing, generous person, if you come into money, you're just going to be more amazing and more generous, because now you're going to have all this money to share. Isn't that amazing? And if you're a stingy SOB, right? And if you're a mean person and you use money as power to control people and everything, you come into money, you're going to have the ability to be more of you. And I believe that a crisis does the exact same thing. Because when there's fear involved, our brains get disconnected and we do some crazy stuff, right? Because we're not thinking, we're not able to reach our intelligence. And mind you, some of us are not that intelligent to begin with. So it gets tricky, right? But when a crisis hits, it just allows us to become more of who we are, right? The truth is that I believe that many of us, very many of us, are going to come find ourselves at the other end of this crisis, still here. Okay? So, my question to you is, how would you want to feel after all is said and done? How will you wish you would have managed or handled this crisis? And remember, hindsight is 2020. But let's just for a moment put ourselves at the end of this rainbow and look back at it and say, how could I have done a better job? What could I have done to connect to my true essence, to my true humanity? I'm saying, yes. How could I have handled this with peace, with grace, with kindness, with courage? Because we are going to need it, people. Okay? And how could I have been a better leader? Whether it's a leader at home with my kids, whether it's a leader with my spouse, whether it's a leader in my block, in my community, with my people that come and listen to me every week, right? So I, for one, would love to look back and know in my heart of hearts that I did my freaking best and that I remained in integrity throughout. Because there are opportunities where you are about to lose your sanity, your ability to stay calm and centered, right? When you see the injustices that happen, when you see that people are hoarding stuff unnecessarily, when there are elderly people who can't even get themselves to the store to buy a little bit for themselves, when there's children at risk, when there's elderly people at risk, when all this thing is like the garbage is hitting the fan right now, right? How do you want to come out of it at the other end and know that you did your best? Maybe it's a lesson in humility for all of us. Maybe it's a lesson to stop the hamster wheel and come back to who we truly are, because I believe that there is the seed of goodness and kindness and generosity in all of us. And I know in some people it's harder to find that in others. But we all have that seed of love within. So what are we going to do now at this time of need to not let ourselves be swayed by hearsay, by opinions, by people trying to, like fear mongers, trying to like make it worse for everybody so that they can profit from it, so that they can benefit from our fear? Staying calm at this time is a challenging mission all in itself, because it is so easy to get triggered by everything. You turn the Facebook on, you turn the TV on, whatever, wherever you're looking, I get text messages from the city of Philadelphia, like craziness happening here and craziness, and every 10 minutes you get a beep with something else, like it's like landmines exploding all over, landmines of information that we don't necessarily know whether they're true or not. Okay? So right now, what we can do, and if you're here, I know you're carrying you're a light bearer, right? And you're a leader and you know you have people that you want to look after. Yes, spreading love and kindness, exactly, right? And knowing at the end that you did your best and you feel good about that. And I believe in miracles, and I believe that somehow, some way, we're going to figure it out. We're going to come out the other end being better human beings. And I pray that we don't forget quickly. I feel like this is another like 9/11 on a global scale, right? And it's an crisis in I think in Mandarin. Is it in Mandarin? If you put it upside down, means opportunity. So if we start looking at this situation as an opportunity, what have I not done in the past that I wish that I did, that now I have the chance to do it? And start finding the blessings in whatever is showing up. It's like, well, I don't have any work and I don't know when I'm going to work again, but what could I do that could maybe bring me some income? What could I do that will allow me to create a deeper bond with my children? What can I do to make sure that my parents know that I love them and they're well taken care of? I mean, just start asking questions. Who can I be in the face of this crisis that will make me feel proud of the way I acted? So I leave these questions with you so that we can all be there for each other, be in community. If you are going through a panic, you can always send me a message and I will do my best to be there for you and support you in these challenging times. Okay. We're going to, well, before, when I end, I usually like to leave you in peace so that you can extend that feeling of peace for longer. So I'm going to share with you that in light of this, I am leading a new session, a 6-week session, which is part of my Warrior series, and it's called Glowing in the Midst of Chaos. And it's a 6-week session during which time I will lovingly guide you so we can navigate through this global challenge, these turbulent times as a community with grace and calm, right? So if this resonates with you or is calling your name, send me a message for more information. I will be having a bonus call on March 23rd before we even get started. So the quicker you sign up, I still have the early bird pricing. So go ahead and send me a message and I would love to have you be a part of this. So now we're going on to the tools, right? What can we do to turn our sympathetic nervous system off? Okay, when the panic starts to hit, the first thing that we can do, like the first line of defense, let's call it that way, is our breath. When panic hits, we start either breathing very shallowly, very shallowly, I don't know, either one. So short little breaths and fast. We start speeding it up. Or we literally stop breathing. You know how people have sleep apnea at night and it's dangerous, like they stop breathing and then all of a sudden they go and they gasp and take a big like push of air because they had been not breathing for a while. So I am 100% certain that happens because I have like waking apnea. It's like I will go into this thing where I'm not breathing and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, breathe, right? And I'll go like that because I haven't been breathing. And so when the fear hits, our heart rate starts to speed up. our breath becomes very shallow, and we're not getting enough oxygen to our brain, to our prefrontal cortex, right? Because like we said, our primal brain gets activated. So the quickest way to begin stopping this response is to breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 2, let go for 6 counts, and hold for 1. Okay, so you breathe in, and literally if you have to, then you hold for 2, then you let go for 6, hold for 1, and breathe in. And you start the cycle again. And the more you do it, the deeper your breaths will become. At the beginning, you might not be able to get that much breath inside of you because you're like in the panic, right? So as you do these exercises, you are able to shut down the stress response. Now, if you do this for 17 seconds, it's not a lot, but when you're stressed, it could feel like an eternity. You will calm yourself down for about an hour. Thank you for the heart. I love the little heart. When you do this for 68 seconds, which is literally 4 cycles of 17 seconds, you will get the response. You will shut down effectively your sympathetic nervous system. You can literally shut it off for 4 hours if there isn't another trigger triggering us. Does that make sense? So there's no more trigger. You get one trigger. You do this for 68 seconds, and you can be calm for 4 full hours. Now, during challenging times, we know that the triggers sometimes are coming at us. So keep doing the breathing cycles until you get so used to breathing that it will be very difficult to trigger you in the first place, because your body will start to feel so good that it will start resisting getting triggered so that it won't get out of feeling good. So here, what we're trying to do is invert the situation. We're so used to feeling badly that feeling good feels like it's the weird thing. When we turn that thing on its head and start feeling calm and at peace, then it'll take a lot more to get us out of that peace, because we know that it feels so good that why would we want to go into the old ways like we were before? And your body is very, very wise, wiser than our brain. And so it'll resist getting triggered for longer, because it'll be like, well, if I'm feeling so good, why would I want to just go into this shallow breathing, having my heart like coming out of my chest, my knot in my throat, feeling murderous, right? It's like, why would I want to feel that way if I can feel this good? And then your body will start relaxing. The next thing you can do, which is very quick, when we get triggered and activated, our hearts and our brains are muscles. We go into tightness. Our brain literally gets squished. It gets like, it's like doing a biceps, right? You do a curl, and then how tight you get in your biceps. It's the same thing that your brain is doing. So right now, let's all do it together. Close your eyes, take your attention to your brain, and then let it go. Most of us are going to feel how the brain literally starts taking up more space inside of your skull. It's the weirdest feeling. Hi, Lauren. Welcome. It's so good to see you. Right? You will feel your brain just go, whew. take more space up in your skull. That is literally your brain muscle just relaxing. What happens when you do that? Your neural networks can flow, the energy, the electricity can run in your brain better, because when we tighten up, it's the same thing that I keep repeating about the water hose, the garden hose, right? When we put the water on and the water hose is running, but if we kink it, we bend it in half and hold it like that, then the water is still there, but it's not able to run because the kink that the hose is creating doesn't allow it to flow. And that's exactly what happens when we tighten our brain and we're like, right? It just tightens our brain and then it creates a ton of kinks, and then the electricity cannot flow freely. The water in our brain cannot flow freely, and we cannot have rational and loving responses. We get crazy reactions, right? It's like it goes into a short circuiting of sorts. It's like the panel gets short circuited. Okay, so that's another one, right? Relaxing the brain. And I know it seems so simple, and it is so simple. It's just that when you're getting triggered, sometimes it's difficult to remember. So if you want, the way I did it when I first started, I literally made a list of all my tools, and I'm like, I just look at it and go, and the first one said breathe, right? I'm like, okay, I have to breathe. Okay. And at first you don't really notice the change immediately, but the more you do it, the more you notice how quickly it works. And so now we have a ton of opportunities, right, for it to work quicker because we're getting triggered from every end. And so let's use this as an opportunity to practice. The next thing that you do is, the moment you get into some sort of stress or anger or fear, is feel your hands. And what you do is you start feeling your hands, but go from the inside. Feel the bones in your fingers, in your hands. Feel the muscles. Feel the blood flowing through your hands. Feel the tendons. Feel the ligaments. Feel the joints. Feel the skin. Feel the pores. Feel the little hairs. I don't have very many hairs. They're teeny weeny. Feel your hands. If you add breath to that, now when you breathe, do not try to hold your stomach in. Allow it, like the tummy of a baby, to breathe, to expand out. When you push your belly out, it allows more air to come in, and it calms you so much quicker. Okay? So far we have breath, we have relaxing the brain, and we have feeling our hands. The next thing that I do is I go into gratitude. And the one thing that literally saved my life at one point in my life, and that has carried me through a lot of rough times, it's the Ho'oponopono prayer. When you can't think, you can always think, thank you. Thank you. Or I love you. If you can't think of anything else, just I love you, I love you, I love you, or I love you, thank you. Or the full thing, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And what actually saved my life was tapping and the Ho'oponopono prayer. When I was in this state where I was considering taking my life, I could not think because I was in a total stress response, right? The only thing that was working was my primitive brain. And now looking back, I can understand what exactly was happening. And I could not even formulate a thought. All that I wanted was the pain to stop. And I could not formulate the sentences that you're supposed to formulate when you're doing tapping. If you're not familiar with tapping, the tapping summit has just happened in the past few weeks. I think it's going, but you can always go on YouTube and look for Nick and Jessica Ortner, if you're not familiar with them. They're the ones who actually promoted and put tapping on the map, because tapping was there before. Actually, when I ran across a video from Nick Ortner with the tapping, I knew that I have a magnet doctor in New York City. His name's Alex. And I thought, oh my God, Alex taught me this years before, and I didn't really practice it. He showed me it and I practiced it for a while and whatever. But then when I came across, I was looking actually for a way to make sure I would kill myself and I would be dead, not like brain dead or something, like as for my parents to have to take care of me. But instead of finding the videos on how to drink, what's it called? Antifreeze, I came across a video from Nick Ortner. And I actually was able to tell him this in person. We cried and we hugged. So I came across this video, but I couldn't do the statements that you're supposed to do. So all I did the entire night was, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. If you don't know the points, go Google Nick Ortner tapping, just the basic thing. I'm sorry. And I would do this the entire night. I spent hours. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Right under the clavicle. Please forgive me. In the bra line, right, the middle of the chest, on the sides, right here. There's a meridian point. Thank you. I love you, in the crown of the head. You start feeling all the stress just literally bubble out of your body. So that's another way of doing it if you are able to just, start doing the tapping. But if you're in a public situation where you have to act quickly, feel your hands, start breathing. You'll be able to think quickly, think on your feet. And during these times, we need our wits about. We cannot afford to go stupid. Okay, we cannot. It is our duty and responsibility to stay mentally sharp. That means drinking enough water. That means keeping our stress in check and not allowing anything that is not vitally important to us to disturb our peace. So if you're hooked on the TV listening to the crazy news, limit it to a certain amount of time, just so that you're basically informed with whatever you need to know. Up until now, I have not even tried to watch the news. Because why? For me, I haven't done it in 30 years. I've always found out of everything I need to find out. And you know what has helped me? My meditation and my sound healing practice. Because it helps me stay connected to myself, and I get the messages that I need for myself and for my family before any TV or any newscaster is able to tell me. Like I knew to go get the food before the day before the craziness started. And I knew I had to go before, and I kind of ignored it. And then I go, oh my gosh, I didn't do this. Let me do this now. And we had zero problems, zero wait, zero. We found everything we needed to find out. And we, maybe I don't have enough. Maybe, I'll be in 2 weeks saying, man, I have no food. I don't know what I'm going to do. For now, we're good. And all that I need to know is that right now, I'm good. And even if it takes me 17 seconds or every 5 seconds or every 2 seconds to keep saying, right now, I'm okay. Right now, I'm okay. Right now, I'm okay. Right now, I'm okay. And you just keep training your brain to know that it is okay. It'll start looking for situations that will make it so. Just as it was looking for situations to make you release the adrenaline and cortisol, it will start looking for the situations where kindness, where gratitude, where generosity will happen, where magic and miracles will happen. It is where we're putting our attention on that will bring that forth and pour it into our reality, into our existence. And right now, we are in a good need of magic and miracles, and you are all a beacon of light, and you all have the ability to be that peace, to be that generosity, and to be that kindness. I love you all very, very, very much. If you have any questions about what I said today, if you want any clarification, or if you just want to make some comments, go ahead and put them on the chat. I will read them all, and I will, if you want, direct message me, and I will get back to you. Or if you just want to put a comment, I will make sure to read everything. Wherever you are in the world right now, know that I love you, and that I send you all my blessings and all my love and all my peace that I can share, and all my gratitude for you being here and for us having this opportunity to just become better humans. Let's go into our sound bath. Let's take a collective cleansing breath. Just breathe in. Hold organic, and then just let it go. That cleansing breath can also shut the sympathetic nervous system down very, very quickly. When you start releasing with the and noticing how good that feels in your body. And the thing is connecting to feeling good inside. As inside is outside, as above, so below. The better you feel on the inside, the more that it'll get reflected on the outside. Go ahead and place your feet flat on the floor. Wiggle your toes. Place your palms facing up on your thighs. If you like, place your right hand on your heart center as well, and keep your left palm facing up in the receiving position. Go ahead and still keep your eyes closed. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. Breathe in patience. Breathe out anger. Breathe in light. Breathe out uncertainty. Breathe in trust. Breathe out discord. Breathe in love. Breathe out love. I love you all, and I'll see you next week.